Welcome to another episode of the Woman Up podcast, a place where we entertain, educate, and elevate women on this journey we call life. And I have a guest that I've had on before. It's Josi Dumont. And we're doing something different this week. So I've asked some of you on my Instagram some questions, and what we're going to do is go through each question and just delve right into it, give our opinions, get juicy with it, and see where we go from there. If you like it, let us know, because it's a new format I'm trying. So yeah, hi Josie, thank you for coming back.
Oh, thanks again for having me.
If you haven't seen the episode with Josie, just let us know what you do so that people know.
Yes, so I am a leadership and mindset coach, and I work with women basically to really overcome self-doubt and turn it into self-trust and to do life their way, in their authentic way.
Amazing. So yeah, the questions that I've asked, I think are like really fitting for what you do as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's good.
Okay, I'm excited.
So question one is, what worries, concerns, or hurdles are you facing at the moment? So one of the answers, and I think you're going to have something to say about this. I also ask people to tell me their age, because I feel like sometimes when you kind of look at different women's ages, they're kind of going through similar things.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting to know. So the first one was 31, and one of her worries is getting out of a toxic relationship.
Ooh, that's a juicy one. First of all, it's never too late. Like 31 is such a young age. I'm 31. And I feel like that's kind of the age where you just start to really figuring things out. That's the age where you start to be like caring less about what other people think. So I would actually say it's the perfect age to get out of a toxic relationship, and also it's better to get out of it sooner rather than later, because I see it actually as you setting yourself free, but also the other person free. Like, it's almost you owe it to both of you that you find actually your happy ending. And if it's not the other person, then that's fine.
Yeah. Ultimately, you're kind of like wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like there's always this like, oh, but I'm going to hurt the person and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like the longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was something else I was going to say about this, though. I don't know if I'm going to get like shot for this statement, but I feel like women struggle more with like getting out of relationships. Like, it's always something I hear from my female friends. I don't hear men being like, oh, I don't want to, like men just get comfortable and stay there. Or maybe that's it, that they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I also, the fact that she said getting out of a toxic relationship, for someone who hasn't watched the other episode, like, you have a massive experience with this, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was in a toxic relationship. And for such a long time, it wasn't clear to me how toxic it actually was, until I realized I'm just miserable. I'm just unhappy. So I knew I had to change things. But I think it's really helpful to just research a couple of things. Like, I literally went on Google and typed in a couple of things that I noticed in the relationship that weren't nice. So I had like a journal entry where I was, for example, writing down like, he was calling me names, he would blackmail me, he would what's the other word? I always forget that one. Gaslighting. Yes, he would gaslight me all the time. He, for example, like one of the biggest things he did was when I moved to the UK. I did it because I wanted to move to the UK. I was like, we will have a long distance relationship. I did never say to him, you need to come to the UK. And actually, before I moved to the UK, I was actually in Finland. So we were already like in a kind of like a long distance relationship. I was enjoying my freedom a lot in Finland. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to just be away from him and just be by myself.
Oh.
So I got a really like nice taste of it. I was like, I'm fine with this setup. But then I moved to the UK, and then shortly after he was like, I'm moving too. And that came as a surprise to me, because I was like, okay, cool, we are doing this. And later on he was like, oh, I only moved for you. I only did it because of you. So he used it against me, even though I never asked him.
To make you feel guilty.
Yeah, to make me feel guilty, to be like, oh, okay, maybe I need to be more this or more that. But it was his decision. I never asked him to do that. And that was a big moment, but there were like several smaller moments where I noticed this kind of behavior as well. Or other things where he would be like really nice at first and then he would be really nasty to me. Or also saying, oh, you need therapy, like you're broken because of your relationship with your dad, or you're like as bad as your mum. So he would literally say similar things as my dad used to say about my mum, because my dad used to be very, very offended about like how the relationship of my parents were. So my ex took that on and basically treated me the same as my dad treated me at times. And I was just like, what the hell is that? So there are many like different moments that you might notice in a toxic relationship, and note them down, like literally journal them, and then research them, Google them, because then you will know, okay, this is blackmailing, this is gaslighting, this is emotional manipulation. And then you realize how toxic it actually really is.
Yeah.
And then you can make a more informed decision to get out of it.
Yeah.
And also, it actually is really helpful because you might start forgetting. I noticed that with myself. I started forgetting. And then I found the journal entry and again I was like, oh, fuck. Like, this was actually really bad.
A lot of the time, though, do you also find that women, not women, just generally, that we, not that we forget necessarily, but we kind of brush it to one side.
Yeah.
And justify, that's the word I was looking for. You kind of like, when a good moment happens, it's kind of like, oh, see?
Yeah.
Like, you're talking to
he's
yourself.
not that bad.
I told you, he's fine. Like, maybe he was just having a bad day or blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I think it's so dangerous to, like, do things like that. But you specifically have, like, left a toxic relationship before. What was, like, a pivotal moment where you were like, okay, I have to just make this decision right now?
So in the previous episode, I obviously mentioned that we actually, before the wedding, we broke up a year before. And that was because I went on a vacation on my own. So I did like a trip just with myself, by myself, to just get to know me again and to know who I want to be and how I want to be. And I noticed there's a big gap into how I actually wanted to be and who I truly am versus who I was in a relationship. And I didn't like the version of me in the relationship. But that was what I realized on that trip. And then I came back, and I actually came back with the conviction, okay, we're going to break up, like this is it. And I came to the station and I was like, yeah, I don't think we can be in this relationship any longer. And then he was like sweet talking. So he was like, oh no, let's try it. Like, I want to do these and these things for you. And I do that. And like, we change everything. Everything is going to be better. I was like, oh, really? I was very doubtful, but I was like, okay, because I really am a very loyal person.
Yeah.
So
same.
I was like, okay, let's brush it off. Let's give him this last like chance. And we tried for a year. We did get married, but then on the wedding day itself, it was like, someone needs to say no.
You were like praying for the
Yes.
person to be like objecting.
Yes. In my mind, I was just like, please someone say no. Please someone come save me. But it was the moment
bless
where
you.
I realized like, I need to save myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel for this person, like the person saying getting out of a toxic, because that's like a worry. It's the question about being worried. So that means she's not out of it yet. So yeah, I think Google will be your best friend right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so hard. Like, it's such a hard one.
It is a hard decision. And I mean, I've also seen relationships that really turned out for the better again. They really managed to shift it around and to be really happy. I've seen that happening too. But in the end, you got to ask yourself, I guess, are you happy? Are you truly happy? What do you want out of life? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this relationship?
Yeah.
And if you don't like what you see right now, then you owe it to yourself and the other person, as I said, to get out of it. And even though it's hard, and it's normal that it's hard, you're a human being.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I forgot to ask because I wanted to start off this segment with like, what are we struggling with at the moment?
Oh, yeah.
Because then we can like go through with other people as well. But I'm gonna have a think.
That's the easy way out.
Yeah. No, what I am struggling with is this like transition between the person that I'm trying to become. So let's just call her like my ideal person, my ideal me, and my old me. So I'm like very up and down lately. So sometimes I'm like, yes, I'm gonna create content, I'm gonna do this, I'm on a mission, and then other days I'm like, oh my god, I'm like pausing before I press like share. Or I'm like, what if this person sees it? Or if I see someone on my stories that has known me for a really long time, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna think I'm an idiot, or they're gonna think I'm oversharing, or I've asked them to subscribe to the podcast too many times this week, and it's just like a constant like in between of like where I want to be and like the confidence I need to have to be that, and the old me. So that's like a little bit of what I'm struggling with right now.
So it's like being in the limbo almost
Yeah.
of like becoming the new version of you who doesn't give a shit of what others think
Yeah.
versus the one that is still second guessing. I just want to say like that's so normal
Yeah.
because you're now creating like new behaviors, new patterns and stuff. So it's so normal to fall back into old habits where like, is it actually the right thing that I'm doing right now? Like, does it make sense? Should I ask this again? Like, oh,
Yeah.
so normal. So normal.
Yeah.
Very human.
I'm also really conscious of like, people always say, oh, don't worry about what people think. And I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, I get the sentiment, but I think it's just be aware of like who is important to you and whose opinion is important to you. So like, what I mean by that is I will always care what my parents think, for example. It doesn't mean that if, for example, my parents don't understand something, for example, my mum doesn't really understand social media. So when she's like, what are you doing? Like doing all this content, why does it take so long? I don't understand. Like she doesn't understand the podcast stuff.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. Is she would never really give me a negative opinion about it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I would never ask her for advice on how to do social media because that's not her expertise. But I do care what she thinks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the sense that I don't give a shit about what people think. I'm just very filtered. So I have my little sieve here and people's opinions will like just be sieved through accordingly. And then it depends on whatever it is that they're saying. I will then use that and take that on board in order to, you know, change habits or whatever that I'm doing. So the only people that will have an influence on specific things are people that I admire or people that are already doing what I want to be doing. Those are the ones that I'll take on board, you know, to action accordingly. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like just rambling or if I'm making sense.
No, I think you make total sense. Yeah. And I do think like what kind of like comes through for me is there's a difference between caring about other people's opinion, and what you make it mean for you.
Yeah.
Because I care about my mom's opinions, but what do I make it mean for me? Because she could say, Josie, I don't like that you've written a book. And I could be like, well, I've done it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
what do you want to do about it? Like, it's too late now. I've written
it's published,
it.
okay.
It's published, yeah.
Here's your signed copy.
Yeah, you already got a signed copy. Like, what do you want to, like, But I could also be like, oh, if she says, oh, I love that you published a book, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And take it on and make it mean something for me.
Yeah.
So that's very different. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, it's a difference between what someone
like
says.
Worded it more articulately than me. It's like what you make it mean to you. Yeah, that's what exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and some people might say, sometimes the same person might say something that you make mean something, and sometimes they say maybe something that you don't make mean anything for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. What are you struggling with at the moment?
Such a good question. What am I struggling with at the moment? Okay, so what I'm struggling with at the moment was the last couple months were quite tough. And I think the reason was because I was so funny to hear like the sound in the
I
background.
know.
But yeah, basically the last couple months I was basing or attaching, let's say attaching success to something external rather than me internally. And I
Okay.
had to have a huge wake up call to notice, no, it's just me. And since releasing that, things have been going steep. So I'm just now like, wow, I should have just done that earlier to
Yeah.
really cancel out any external noise and focus back on myself. Now, I'm not necessarily struggling with just doing what I want to do and doing my
Yeah.
way, but it's still a struggle in terms of, okay, what do I want to do next? And to really hone in onto that self-trust. So even though I coach clients on trusting themselves, I'm a human too. I have the same kind of like struggles every now and then where I'm like, does this really make sense? Do I need to have a part-time job? What happens if the rent is going to be increased again because it's so expensive, right? So it's more around trusting my vision like 100%. And I do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate how scary it can feel. And then also wanting to be a mum eventually. Like I would love to be a mum maybe. Like or at least like start trying maybe in the next coming months. But at the same time, I want to be at a place where I can really provide for the kid.
Yeah.
Because of my upbringing, for example, money was always scarce and it was like a big topic, and love was kind of like equaled with money. Like the more money you have, the more love you get, or like if I give you money, that means I love you, and I never liked that.
Yeah.
So, but I still want to be like in a position where I can provide for my kid to have like a life without that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a struggle that's more internally. It's more my thinking about it rather than struggling with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of that, like at the moment, though. Like people just like, I want to take this next step, but it's going to require X, Y, Z changing, and how do I plan for that? And like,
Yeah. And I don't want to over plan. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I know like whatever happens, happens, and I am able to deal with it. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to feel like I'm in a really good place.
Yeah.
Where I know I will not burn out again. Like that's, for example, a fear I have around taking a part-time job. It'd be like, if it's too much, would I burn out again?
Yeah.
Do I get back into a place that I absolutely don't want to be in? So it's more, I guess my struggle is more around fears of possibilities that I don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think a lot of the time we worry more about things that never happen?
Yeah. Like that's kind of like worst scenario kind of thinking. It's like overthinking, analyzing. So I do have that self-sabotage type for sure.
Yeah.
And I know it's holding me back. So I'm just very aware of that and try to work through it. But it's so very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the next question that I asked on socials was, what are you really excited about in your life right now? So you go first.
Oh, I go first. Ooh, okay. What I'm really excited about in life right now is to be alive.
Aww.
I had a moment actually this morning where I was standing in the tube. I posted in my stories. I was standing in the tube and I was like, I literally had a discovery call with a client yesterday. She said yes today. I'm coming onto your podcast today. I'm meeting my business bestie for brunch, and I'm in London, my home of heart. I literally have like an LDN tattoo on my foot. Yeah, because I love London. It's literally, I'm at home here.
Yeah.
I just love this place so much.
Aww.
And
where are you originally from again?
Germany, yeah, like this most southwest corner of Germany.
Okay.
Very boring part.
Oh, okay.
For me. So London is just like this place
Really
of possibilities and like good vibes and everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like so grateful in that moment. I was like, gosh, I'm on this train like towards London City. the place so many people travel to for like holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
I live here. I get to meet an amazing friend for brunch in a vegan restaurant. I'm a vegan food, like it's vegan food heaven here as well. The sun is shining.
Where did you go for lunch?
Mildred's at Covent Garden.
Oh,
Was so
I love
good.
Covent Garden. Yeah,
Such a nice place, such good vibes.
Yeah.
And I was just like excited for life in that moment. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like life can be so magical, and that excites me. And that's what I'm excited most about right now, to just be alive and take it all in, with the struggles, with the good things that are happening. Like I really love embracing it in all the different perspectives. And that's what excites me the most.
Oh, I love that. Hey ladies, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the Woman Up podcast. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a moment to say, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please follow the channel and leave us a review. It really, really helps with our reach. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes in the future. If you're feeling especially inspired, please feel free to leave us a comment or share the episode on your socials. I personally read all comments, and every share has a massive effect on our growth, so it really means the world to us. Thanks in advance, we appreciate you, and let's get back to the episode. What am I most excited about right now?
Yeah, I don't know.
For me, I'm excited about like everything happening. It's the same, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously the podcast is now weekly, so it's become like a priority in my life, rather than it just being like, okay, I'm just batch recording and blah, blah, blah. It will happen soon. Now it's just like, okay, every week what's happening, like, so it's almost like this is my job.
Yeah.
And then just like connecting with new people, even just on Instagram. I'm obviously becoming like really more active at like events as well. So I'm going to what is it called? Girl Collab is having a breakfast tomorrow morning, and it's just like women just having a chit chat and like networking. So like going to events like that again, because I haven't done that in so long, and just like really putting myself out there and like meeting new people. I did a webinar for the first time last week as well, the same day that I did the podcast with you.
Yeah.
And that was like really exciting because I was really nervous, and then I got really good feedback. So yeah, everything's like just happening, and I feel like I'm just excited about the possibilities, I guess. So yeah.
Those are the exciting times.
Yeah.
Oh, kudos for you.
The third question I asked on stories was, are there any embarrassing stories or dilemmas that you're facing right now? Weirdly, I don't have any. Like, I'm trying to think if there's any old stories that I could tell, but I can't think of anything.
Let me have a think. Embarrassing.
Or like a dilemma. We could like just go through some of the stuff that people have said. So let's go back while we think about any dilemmas that we might have faced. Is back to question 1, which was what worries and concerns. Another person said 35, adulting is hard, and right now I'm financially struggling. I find this really interesting because I think there's a lot of people that are trying to like make their own stuff happen, and not necessarily like doing the whole traditional job type stuff. And so that leap from having a job and not having a job and then making your thing your job, that interim period, I think is like a really rough one. So yeah, I think the financially struggling kind of scares me a little bit, in the sense that I understand, but also everything I hear from people is like, now is the easiest time to be making money, and yet I'm hearing the opposite from people. So it kind of like, I don't know, it's weird for me to think that.
I think it comes back to, again, what do you make it mean for you?
Yeah.
Like, what do you see as your reality? Like, do you take it on as, yes, it will be hard for you to make money, or do you take it on as, I will make it work?
Yeah.
Like,
when you transitioned, well, you said you took redundancy, right? So you maybe had like that cushion.
Yeah, I had a big cushion, which I'm very grateful for. That helped me to just be like, okay, I'm gonna just dive straight into entrepreneurship, which helped. I did also have some clients that definitely helped too, because I knew, okay, there is something coming in
Yeah.
still. I'm not completely like without any income,
Yeah.
but I also knew I will need to be prepared, like whatever happens, to if they if it will be my reality to take on a part-time job or not. Even though I don't want to, definitely not. I obviously want to make it work, but I'm prepared for that reality. I'm flexible to it. But it helped to just have that cushion to navigate that kind of space and really go all in and just figure out also like how I want to build all of that, how I want to
Yeah.
be in the business. Because I didn't know anything about business. So for me, it was really about, okay, what actually is a CEO day? What do I need to do in marketing?
Yeah.
What else do I need to do? Like, how do I actually get client? How do I go live? Like,
Yeah.
I've never been live to that point. Like, how do I actually make consistent posts on Instagram? So for me, it actually was really good to have that time through being all in to figure all of that shit out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helped me to get it, like, advance quite quickly in more of me becoming the business owner I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm still building, but I feel like it helped me to just nail down some of the things and get like some structures set, some new habits built,
Yeah.
rather than having to do it next to a job.
I think that like if you are going to transition from no job to doing your own thing, whether it's freelancing or your own business or whatever it is, I think there has to be some sort of plan. Like
Yeah.
even if you are going to do something part time, until you can make that shift, is probably like going to reduce the stress.
Yeah.
But also make a plan of like how you're going to make this thing happen, because what some people might not know about me is that I have quit my job before and then I had no plan. So what ended up happening is I just in a year like a year later I ended up back in a different job making really good money again, and then it was like, oh, okay, chill.
Oh, it's a breather.
But then I ended up in the same place because it
Yeah.
was like, oh, I hate this. Like I hate working for someone else, and like it just doesn't work for me anymore. Um and I think it's really easy, like when you quit your job, to then, when you don't have a plan, you're kind of like, oh, I'm just going to run to the shop and do this, or I'm just going to meet so and so, and I'm just going to. But if you had a job right now, you wouldn't be able to do these things. So treat this new thing like it's a job.
Yes.
And
Oh
like,
gosh.
it doesn't necessarily have to be 9 to 5. If like that was where you were struggling with before, if you don't like that time frame, then fine, make it whatever time frame you
Yeah.
want, but you need to be dedicating like those 8 hours a day, 5 days a week at least, to figuring out how I'm going to make this happen. So I think like that's probably my experience as well, is now I'm just like, okay, this is my job now.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to time block, and what am I going to do? How much content am I going to make? How long is that going to take? And da 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 da. So I think that's like a big thing as well.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think you can freestyle it. You do need to have a plan and a vision to like what you want to work towards to. If you don't have that, then you're just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and be like, maybe something sticks, cool.
Yeah.
But that's not how business works. You do need to have some form of strategy, but finding your own, I guess, is the one that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
works for
yeah.
you.
I agree. And then the last one I saw was 35, getting on the property ladder and having a good health. I mean, you're like a gym freak, right? So
Yeah.
like good health is already ticked.
Yes, yes. Well, yes and no. I'm not sure if it's down to age again. Like, I don't think 31 is that old.
It's definitely not.
But I have like so many back aches. Like recently, I hurt my shoulder on the right side. 2 days ago, I hurt it on the left side. I was like, "Come on now! Like, what is happening?" And there are definitely also like some digestion issues I had to look into. I wouldn't say my health is at the best it could be. It definitely is better than it was at some points in my life.
Yeah.
But like hormonal kind of things, I still feel like I'm rebalancing out after being on contraception and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean also my face, I'm still struggling with hormonal acne. It's taking a long time, so I'm not at 100%, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely like climbing back up again.
Yeah, the hormone, like coming off birth control is like
Nightmare.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, Martha, it's a nightmare. I was on the pill, right? I was loving it. It was great. Like nothing was bad. It really was. I actually was pro pill for a long time because it worked really well for me. And then I was like, I don't want to have to think about it every day. So I switched to the coil.
Which one?
Massive mistake.
The hormonal.
The
or
hormonal one.
Oh my god, we are literally the same
Yeah.
person.
Did it mess you up completely as well in terms of like skin and everything?
No, I didn't have the hormonal one because what happened is
Okay.
I was on the pill like my whole life, and then I was like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I don't want to take it. Forget it. So then I stopped, but then I was like, okay, but what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Because I need something. And the only option that is not hormonal is the copper coil.
Yeah.
So I got that. Firstly, the insertion was like...
Absolute horror story.
It was like the worst day of my life.
Yes.
I'm laughing, but it was so traumatizing for me.
Yeah, the pain.
Yeah, the pain was just, for me, was unbearable. And then it made me question whether I even want kids, because that was like 2 seconds of pain. And I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to give birth if I can't even take this?
Yeah,
like,
this is...
No.
I'm glad you're the same, like, because you can relate. Sometimes if I described it to others, they were just like, it can't be that bad, right? I'm like,
oh my God.
You have no idea, girl. Like, this pain is out of this world. And even though it was only a couple seconds, it made me almost pass out.
Yeah, it was horrific.
Yeah.
And
it was the worst.
No. And I was like crying after.
Yep.
And they were like, okay, we're not going to rush you. Like, they give you like a really big window between appointments, because she was like, you can just lie there, and like she gave me like a blanket, everything, and I was just like, I can't bear it. Like I couldn't even get up.
Yeah.
Because I was just like in shock. I think my body went into shock after that.
I'm not surprised.
But yeah, that was just really traumatizing day for me.
Same.
I can't even remember why we're having this discussion.
Oh yeah, how did we get to that? How did we get to birth control?
Because someone wrote
struggle with
good
health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Concerns. This isn't really like a concern of mine, but I do think that I'm really slacking with like my exercise as well, because I was at a point before where I was like weight training all the time. And I was just like on it. And now I'm just like, one day I go for a run, another day I don't, and then I don't know what's happening, and then 4 days go by and I haven't done any exercise, and then I check my Apple Watch and the activity is like all the way down.
Yeah, Apple Watch is like, you're still alive, man.
Yeah, exactly. My Apple Watch is like, you're barely alive. So, so yeah, I don't know. I think getting into like a good routine is probably like where I struggle, or I've been struggling like lately. So maybe that's what this person means. Like their worries, concerns, or hurdles is what I put in the question. So I think just like get into a routine that works for you.
Yeah. And start small. It doesn't mean like you need to go to the gym every single day of the week for 1 hour, because that sounds probably horrible to loads of people who currently might just go for a run once a week. But even that already is great. But then also starting small and really building a habit from like something very easy makes it easier for you to then stick to it, because you see the successes you build because you actually show up and you do it, even if it's 10-minute walk here, 10-minute walk there. If it's maybe you take the bike next time you go to work, or you go somewhere to see your friend rather than the tube. Like try to incorporate it in general in different ways, and to just build up a new habit of exercising, and just find what's fun.
I also think having an accountability buddy like might help.
Having a gym buddy makes literally gymming so much nicer. I love training with my boyfriend,
because you go to the gym with your boyfriend. I used to do that, but we just used to get on each other's nerves. Do you actually like train together, or do you just go together and then do your workout? No, we train
together. We do the exact same workout together.
Yeah, we tried that, and then no.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
I think because like I don't know. I think exercise for me personally is a time of like just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because he was very like, you got this, like
Mm.
motivating, and sometimes it's like I don't want this, like I want to motivate myself.
Mm-hmm.
But for other people, like that might be really good.
Mm.
But I also felt that like because he's much stronger than I am, I almost felt like I was a hindrance to him,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's kind of like I'm not going to lift as much as you. I'm not going to squat as much as you. Like
Mm.
it's just not going to work like that. So then like when we were at the gym, sometimes he would do less weight, or it would just be like so much longer because between
Mm-hmm.
sets he would have to like load up and then I would
Mm-hmm.
have to load off, and then it was like, oh my god, like firstly we're taking ages, but secondly he was sometimes making exceptions,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not someone who's going to be able to like what's it called when the guy like spots you,
Yeah.
so I can't spot for him as well, so it was kind of like I felt like I was a hindrance on him as well, and that was like
Mm.
affecting me. So yeah, in the end, we were just like, no, you go your time, I'll go my time, and that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
we would still do other stuff together, like go on bike rides, because that's like more fun.
Yeah.
Um, and it's more like a day out kind of thing. So yeah, that would have been better. But
Mm.
yeah, I guess find what works for you, right?
Yeah, definitely find what works for you. I mean, for me, before my now boyfriend, I was training either on my own. Like, I tried with my ex, but it absolutely didn't work.
Oh,
Like, it was awful.
yeah.
I just got angry at him, and he got angry at me.
Oh no.
So yeah, that didn't work. I did train with two girls a lot who are really good friends of mine, so
Oh,
that
that's
was
good.
a good help as well
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we were then doing the same ish weights or like in the same kind of like range at least.
Yeah.
One of us was she's still the strongest, like her peach is juicy.
Nice.
Like she was the one who got me basically into weightlifting
Oh,
because I've
okay.
never done it before I came to the UK.
Yeah.
I hated exercise. I literally hated it. And then finding what really sparked this joy in me, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. That's then with weightlifting. That's what helped me to really build this discipline. And now it's just a no brainer. I go to the
Yeah.
gym. And I really love doing it with my boyfriend because even though we also have to change the weights, like, because we're such a good team, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
So it's more around, it's just what it is. Like, take the weights off, put them back up,
Yeah, yeah.
and just to be there for another and be like, okay, let's get ready for the gym now. And then we take our pre-workout or I have my coffee and we go, and it's just,
Oh, I love that.
routine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. Okay. Question 2 was what I already mentioned, is what are you excited and really happy about in your life? So 26, going off to see more of the world later on this year. I really love this because it's like there's so many people that are just doing their own thing, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to travel. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to be like whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. And I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Rooting for you.
Yay. Okay, 31. I'm finally seeing. Oh, actually, this was the person that said she was struggling to get out of a toxic relationship.
Oh.
So, for the thing about being excited, she wrote that I'm finally seeing that I need to make this right choice for me. And then she's put me in capital letters. It is hard, but I am going to do this.
You got this, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this.
You got this.
Okay, 35. I'm happy that I took the risk to pursue my dreams. This is like on the same point as the other one. It's like just do your own thing.
Rooting for you.
Yay! And then 35. We've got a lot of 35-year-olds. My family and my career, having my own family has completed my happiness.
That is
really
so
nice.
sweet.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question 3, the embarrassing stories or dilemmas that you're facing right now. So I've got one. I'm not growing young. I'm in my mid-30s. After all the inner work I've done and awakening, dating is really hard. I know what I want and I will not settle. I've recently met a guy and been on a date with him. On paper, and too many... Oh, hang on. On paper and too many girls, he is great. Oh, sorry. He's good on paper, and to many girls he is great, but he is not a conscious man. I am just not that into him. I want kids. Do I just settle for a guy that is okay, or so that I can have kids, or be patient and wait?
Be patient. You deserve better. You deserve better. Don't just settle for okay. You want one that ticks all of your boxes, and you will find that one.
Yeah, and also like she says, to many girls he's great. Like then let them go on dates with him.
Yeah,
like,
let
he's
them
not
have
gonna
him.
Struggle. Like he's fine.
Yeah.
I asked her what she meant by he's not a conscious man, and she meant that he's not really spiritual and she's very spiritual. So I just think like if that's something that you want or that you're seeking in a partner, I don't think that you should settle for someone who isn't.
Yeah, because it will come up as a red flag later on.
Yeah, especially like if you want to have kids, and then like one's not spiritual, the other's spiritual, and I don't know.
Yeah, raising them might be then big fighting topic.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, so that was her dilemma. I think be patient too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Team be patient.
Actually, to just give a little motivation, this year I met a woman. She got married at the age of 70 something.
No way.
Yes. She came on to a call and she was like, it was my wedding day today. And she kept on her wedding dress, which was a really nice, like lacy, kind of like white dress.
Yeah.
And she was so proud. She was like, yeah, she just met that guy like 2 years ago or something.
Oh, wow.
So
was it her first marriage?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it was just like really sweet to see a woman at that age to be like, I can still find love. I can still get married at that age. Like, it still works out in the end.
Yeah. I agree. The only thing that worries me, obviously, is the whole biological clock thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if she had kids, like, maybe from a previous partner, and maybe she'd already ticked that box. But I know, like, for me personally, that's one of the concerns that I have, like, I wouldn't say all the time, but it's definitely something that pops up regularly. And sometimes it's really difficult to just surrender to the fact that it's okay. Like, stress is not going to help me find someone, or like, you know, help my eggs not to die.
But I mean, there are possibilities, right? You can freeze them and stuff, so it's not like impossible.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I wish that I'd waited for the egg freezing conversation. Sorry, not I wish I waited. I wish I had it sooner.
Okay.
That conversation about egg freezing, because even now at my age, egg freezing is like really difficult. And there's no, like, it's basically a difficult time. Like, I've waited too long. So it's something that you should do at an earlier age. Again, there are women that have done it at my age, so I'm not even going to put a downer on that. But yeah, I have considered it. But I know there's loads of women that are also thinking the same thing. So yeah, there's so many things that as women we want to tick off, and it's like, give me more time, please. Okay, the last one for the dilemmas is, this one's funny, like it doesn't really need advice. I just think it's like a good one to end on. But my 10-year-old son recently had a brother from his father's side. Anyhow, it led to him asking me, where do babies come from? I couldn't think of anything other than a cake where there's ingredients and boom, there's a baby.
That's such a sweet metaphor. I'm like, a cake.
And boom, the baby just comes out of the cake.
Yeah, like, surprise.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like 10 years old, maybe there's like a book that you can get with like pictures and stuff. I used to have this book when I was little. It was actually like a series, and it was called How My Body Works. And like every book had a different topic. With like bones and the brain and your heart and blood, and like it had like really cool like cartoon pictures to like explain everything for you. And they had, one of the series was you know, how are babies made and where do they come from, blah blah. So I'm sure like there's a book that
there must be something out there.
Give your son that, and then just be like, read that and then come back to me.
Tell me your opinion.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, feel free to follow up.
Or just feel free to ask your dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was very fun. It was very different.
Yeah. Guys, I will probably do this again, so it'll be really helpful if you participate, and if you think of any suggestions for the questions as well, put them in the comments. And yeah, I'm gonna try and do this with some other guests and see. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I found it really fun because it's like very different just to see like,
Yeah.
okay, what are people thinking about?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what are their
yeah.
current struggles? And to just have a think, like, did I experience the same or not?
Yeah.
And to also see like where the conversation drifts off to.
Yeah. Okay, guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, do all the things. We really, really appreciate it, and it helps the podcast get out there and get to more people. So I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's it for this week's episode of the Woman Up podcast. All the links and resources we mentioned in the episode will be in the description, no matter where you're listening or watching from. If you're listening or watching this on a podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a review and follow the channel. You have no idea how much this helps to push out the podcast to a wider audience. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button for the same reason, and feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, or make suggestions. It really means the world to us, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.